A Boeing 737-800 aircraft operated by Jeju Air crashed at the Muan International Airport in South Korea on Sunday morning, killing about 96 passengers, beg your pardon. A harrowing video shows the moment the twin-engine plane skidded off the runway and crashed into a wall. The aircraft immediately burst into flames, as seen in the video. Take a look. Within seconds, the huge black smoke rose into the sky. Visuals showing flames engulfing parts of the plane. The South Korean acting president is at the crash site taking stock of the situation along with other senior government officials. Boeing, in fact, viewers, has also issued a statement stating that they are in contact with Jeju Air over the deadly crash. On the other hand, the Jeju Airline CEO has also issued a statement offering condolences and apologizing to the victims and their families. The airline still maintains the exact cause of crash is not clear. In the video, it appears the aircraft attempted a belly landing without its landing gear fully extended. The plane, viewers, was carrying 181 passengers, including 6 crew members. Another visual has also surfaced, which has been released by South Korean TV, which captures the moment of a bird strike that doomed Jeju Air Flight 2216. The Jeju Air Flight was returning to Muan, South Korea from Bangkok, Thailand. Now, due to the mishap, domestic international flights all have been cancelled at the Muan Airport. At least 96 passengers lost their lives after a plane caught fire and landed at Muan International Airport in South Korea. The aircraft, a Jeju Air Boeing 737-800, caught fire after veering off the runway and colliding with the airport's boundary wall during landing. The plane was returning from Bangkok, carrying around 181 people, including 175 passengers and 6 crew members. Thick black smoke filled the sky as flames engulfed the plane, creating chaos at the airport. The visuals there shows rescue teams working tirelessly to control the fire and evacuate passengers. But of course, the latest is that unfortunately 96 passengers have lost their lives. South Korea's acting president has also expressed deep sorrow over the incident and has directed immediate rescue and relief operations at the airport. According to reports, the crash took place when the plane slipped off the runway and struck a fence. The investigators now they're working tirelessly to determine the exact cause of the fire and crash. Let's go across to my colleague Varghese Abraham, who joins us over the phone line on more on this. Varghese, a very good morning to you. You know, in emergencies like this, what are the standard protocols pilots are trained to follow during a runway overrun or, an emergency landing, if you could tell us?
Well, what we understand is that the pilots did follow the protocol. The first thing that we understand is that they had spoken about the engine fire straight to the ATC, and from then onwards they were in fact guided by the ATC towards the landing. But unfortunately what has happened is that the multiple failures that happened, the landing gear did not work, and the plane landing on its belly and skidding through the airbase, there was no way to in fact go ahead and control the very fact of that landing and any way to even steer the airplane as well, and that is why we see it in fact on its underbelly at the runway, where it in fact goes straight ahead and crashes onto the wall. So as of now, the basics within an aircraft was in fact followed, but then more details will emerge once we recover the black box of the aircraft to understand what exactly happened in the final moments just before the crash.
Right, Varghese, do tell us, could anything have been done differently to prevent this tragedy?
Well, nothing could have been done as of such because the biggest problem with the entire issue is that it is very difficult to, in fact, have some kind of complete check on the aircraft as and when something like this happens. So right now, if it is a bird hit, how much of the system was in fact paralyzed would have been quite unknown within the sensor systems as well. So there are sensor systems that in fact are doubly run and triply run as well to ensure this, but it would be quite unprepared to handle a situation like this.
Verghese, in your opinion, what might have gone wrong here for the fire to become so catastrophic? I mean, the visuals are pretty much speaking for themselves. It's horrific to see the, plane catching fire and such a massive fire within minutes of crashing, and, all these 181 people. I mean, one can only imagine what they must have gone through.
First of all, the aircraft did land on its belly, and therefore the friction itself could have, in fact, resulted in fires inside. Secondly, we must understand that though it is an aircraft that is landing, it had enough and more fuel in bulk, and therefore once the crash took place, this fuel would have, in fact, been ignited, and that's why we would have seen this kind of a fireball. So these factors would have contributed to these accidents.
Right, Verghese. Thank you very much for joining us over the phone line with those details. Let me quickly go across to Captain S.S. Panesa, retired former Director of Flight Safety and Training, Indian Airlines. A very warm welcome to you, sir. I asked this question to my colleague also, but I believe you'll be able to give me a more comprehensive answer. In emergencies like this, sir, what are the standard protocols the pilots are trained to follow during a runway overrun or, an emergency landing? And could anything have been done perhaps differently to prevent this tragedy?
Ma'am, let me tell you from the beginning, the manufacturers of these aircraft, they try all sorts of emergency before releasing an aircraft for commercial flying. And the pilots are supposed to be fully trained on simulators for all these type of emergency. We had earlier 2 belly landing in India where the aircraft after some repair was flying and there were no injuries. In this particular aircraft, if the gear was not coming down, the pilot should have carried a missed approach because he had enough fuel on board for alternate airport also. He should have burnt up enough fuel, keep the minimum fuel, and come for a landing and come to the minimum speed. If landing speed is 140, he could have come at 130. Even he could have stalled the aircraft 2 feet above the ground level and avoided all this serious calamity. All these training, I personally feel that training has to be improved, and the pilots are given all type of emergencies on simulator. Not only the investigation and the cockpit vice recorder will be the main witness to tell us why they landed when the gear was not coming down. He should have gone up, burnt the fuel, made the minimum fuel on landing for landing, and landed and shut the engine, shut both the engine before touched on the ground, so that all fuel lines are closed and there's no leak of fuel to cause the fire. It is only the quickness of mind of pilot which you have done. Only CVR will reveal the facts to what has happened actually.
Right. So, Captain, are you saying that this tragedy could have been averted?
100%. 100% it could be averted because there's no incident which cannot be avoided. But it is only the skill required and the quickness of mind and the follow-up of the checklist. Boeing, all manufacturers, they give you a checklist for all emergency, what actions to be taken. Only the very rare cases, you can imagine such calamities taking place. I feel very sorry that so many deaths have taken place. May God bless these souls and give courage to the bereaved family now. And I only request that in future the training of these emergencies should be enhanced on simulators, and we in India, all pilots go every 6 months on simulator training and do all the checks. All emergencies are done on the simulator.
Right. Captain, the Boeing 737-800 is a very popular aircraft, used globally. You would know it better than I do. Are there any known safety concerns or design issues with this model that could have perhaps played a role in this incident?
No, there's no design defect or anything. This aircraft very successfully flying in Air India also, and many other airlines in the world are flying 737-800. But you see, these incidents and accidents do happen in aviation, but only the presence of mind and follow up the checklist sincerely save these aircraft. I was taking up on Airbus A300. I had one engine failure. I flew over the sea for more than 1 hour to release all the fuel on the sea, and then landed with the minimum fuel and minimum speed. No, it looks like that he is landing with a very fast speed and hit the wall. he should have shut both the engines before touchdown, so that no fuel line can release the fuel to from the engine and cause such a huge fire.
Okay, all right. Captain, let me ask you this. When a crash like this happens, how do the investigators determine whether it was caused by pilot error, air traffic control mistakes, or, perhaps a mechanical issue? What, clues do the investigators usually look for?
Yes, it's a very good question. All these modern aircraft are fitted with two things. One is a digital flight data recorder, which records every parameters of the engine, aircraft control, speed, and everything. The other is a cockpit voice. There are six recorders in the cockpit. We required the cockpit voice during the last 45 minutes before the crash. So if they get these two things, they can definitely analyze the exact cause of the crash. The DFD can tolerate 100 degrees, 1000 degrees centigrade temperature also. So I only think is a very serious investigation in this crash so as to avoid such incidents in future.
All right.
Only the investigation and the cockpit voice recorder is the main witness, and then the digital flight data recorder, what speeds he was touched on. He should have burnt all the fuel because he must be having alternate fuel on board. And that means he should have released all the fuel by flying and then come out with a minimum fuel on landing.
Right, right. Captain, weather can be unpredictable and dangerous for landings. How much of a factor do you think weather might have been in this case, given South Korea's geography?
Well, weather can be a cause for the incident. It happened in one of the crash in India, in Calicut, where the weather was very bad and pilot was trying to land again and again. On third attempt, he crashed. He did not divert. He should have diverted on the first overshoot when the weather is very bad. He did not divert, so the aircraft crashed. 20 people died in that crash also. It is only the skill and the proper training of a pilot and the cockpit resource management. All these things contribute to the good flying and safe flying. And pilots in Air India or India, I know as for my knowledge, we go every 6 months to our training center for simulator practice where we carry out all sorts of emergencies on board the simulator.
Right. Thank you so much, Captain, for joining us with all of those valuable inputs. Much appreciated. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.